I'm back. I'm here to talk to you about the irons that are used in the costume shop. So our irons are not the kind that you are typically used to. As you can probably tell by this iron here, it is not up on its end. We do not want to have these irons on their end. That will actually destroy the iron because there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of it happens right there. Also, you will notice there is this really kind of cool crazy hose thing happening, right? So I'm going to adjust my camera really quick to up top. All right. So right up here, if you can see, that is called our water reservoir. Why am I pointing this out to you? As you can see, there's a water line right here. It's getting a little low. We want to make sure it's always full. And then there's this stuff in the bottom, or like kind of what that is. Right now it's blue. That's good. Blue is good. That is called resin. Resin is up there to filter out all the impurities of the water that is coming into the iron. Why is that important? Because any kind of metal, minerals or stuff that's in your normal tap water, if you put that in your regular home iron, you probably notice like some kind of buildup. A lot of times it's calcium and that sort of thing. That helps to keep it from happening. So if you're using a home iron, you really should be using distilled water for that because it doesn't have a filtration system. So distilled water for your home irons, tidbit. But because of that, you have to make sure that that reservoir is filled up to a certain point. You never want the water to run out. If the water runs out, what happens is that the way that this works is by gravity. So this whole system is called a gravity feed iron. And if you were to take and push the button, I'm going to show you in a minute, that pulls the water down, it creates a suction. And if there's no water up there, all that resin is beads, little tiny beads, and it will actually suck that resin down into the tubing, which then we have to take the whole thing apart to get all that resin out. So don't do it. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Okay? So I'm going to bring you back down again so we can go over the other parts of the iron. So that is the reservoir, and the bottom part is the resin, and the purpose of it is to filter the water. Okay? So that's why we can use tap water in our irons. And so if you come in and you see one is empty, get a pitcher, go fill it up with water. The very top has a lid. You just take the lid off and you can just pour that right in there, okay? Fill up our reservoirs, okay? All right, so now we're going to go back down. Okay. So here is the wonderful iron. Don't touch buttons that you're not supposed to. Don't touch this knob here. That is only for costumers. It is set on a specific number. This particular one is on 4. These are irons that get exceedingly hot, okay? They start at about, we usually have them on like 400, 450. So please be very careful. If you even put your hand kind of close, it's nice and warm. Do not just touch an iron. You can tell it's warm, okay? This button right here, I'll have to pull you a little closer so you can see because you're a little far away. All right. So this button right here, this knob, no touchy. Don't do it. No touchy. This button tells us if it's on or off. For this one, down is off. Okay? Then this is the water tubing. This is the electrical. Please always make sure that that is away from the iron, all right? We do not want to, this is here to protect it, but some don't have that. And if you hit that with this iron that gets super hot, it will melt it really quickly, all right? You will also note that there's not one, but there's 2, possibly 3, yeah, 2 silicone plates. That is on purpose because silicone, as we know, can take a lot of heat because this iron gets so hot. And then watch what happens really kind of when I push. This button is for steam. You hear that? If I hold it long enough, you'll start to see the steam coming out? All right. That is really hot steam. What happens when you push that button is there's a thermostat in here, and it raises that thermostat to tell it to steam things, to send the steam out at a slightly higher temp. If you hold that button down for too long, you can possibly break things, including the thermostat. That would suck. So let's not do that. Don't sit there and hold this down forever and ever and ever and ever. There is nothing wrong with holding it down for just a little bit, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then let it go. There will still be steam coming out of it for a little bit. It'll be fine, okay? Please always make sure that this is on its plate. Do not leave it on here. Do not leave it here. That will cause fires. That will burn things. Please don't do it. As you can tell, there are a couple of markings on here. See this little mark right here? This was made by one of my students. Yeah. Don't do that. Do not leave that iron on there. It will scorch it, and then it could possibly set fire to things. So, health and safety, please don't do that. Other health and safety note, this is a very hot iron. It puts out steam. Please, under no circumstances, should you ever take the iron and look at it with your face. And they even joke about having a facial. Not cool. I say this because it's happened. Don't do it, all right? Don't do it. Other thing please don't do, because it's very annoying for everybody else in the room, is sit here and do this with it. Pushing that button repeatedly over and over does not help it to do anything any better. You can just hold it down and let it go. And it will be okay. Because even if you are not at quite to the point that you need to be, it holds in some of the water, okay? It'll hold in some of the steam. It's okay. All right? Now, how do we use this iron? Oh my God, so many things. So, ironing things. So if we're going to iron, we lay it flat, right? You know this. I hope some people have ironed, but if not, you're about to get a lesson. All right? Lay it flat as you can. I always start in the middle because then I know things are going to shift evenly throughout. If you are pressing and rolling, pressing and rolling, you are going to lay it so that the salvage, which you'll learn about soon, salvage is the ends of your piece of fabric, is going along the side, all right? And then if you need to press and roll, you will take and start in the middle, steam up, let go on the way back. Only going with the grain, and then you're going to go perpendicular over, press and push up, and then come back. Okay? So press up, let go of the button on the way back. Let it cool a little bit. It makes the iron a little bit happier. Up, and then come back. Okay? Now, what happens if we have a curve? We've got a couple of other tools we can use. Yay! Okay, so let me show you some of the other tools we have in our arsenal. First thing we want to notice, boop, boop. No, these are not Mr. Potato Heads. I know, right? These are all various different kinds of hams. Okay, this one has one that has a little cover on it. So these are hams. This one looks like a true ham, right? This is used to help get into smaller places like sleeves, right? Curvy bits, fat curve, smaller curve, even smaller curve. Okay, so those are hams. Then we also have, if we have to iron a sleeve, we use what we call a sleeve board. If you look at this, if I turn it sideways, you'll notice that one side is a little bit more narrow than this side. Okay, I know it's hard to tell. Yep, see, a little bit more pointy. Smaller sleeve, wider sleeve. Okay, also pants can go on this too. We are not discriminatory toward pant legs. Okay, and then we have, I love this. I think I may have donated this one. This is a point that you can iron to help iron your points. Some call it tailor's point. There's lots of different things. It is also called the clapper. You're about to bounce. Because sometimes we have to iron something that has a lot of layers and we want it to be nice and flat. We can't get it to get flat, and we need to keep all that heat in there and hold it down until it stays flat. So we'll clap it. And we'll say clapping, and then we'll hold it down like this until it cools off. Sometimes singing some silly song. That's usually me. But the cool thing is we have this point, and that will help us to do like collars. It's got a little flatter edge on this side, right? So this is also an ironing tool. Then what else do we have? Oh, this is also a clapper, which is kind of cool. And once again, it's to help get things flat. Okay? So, and sometimes to get things in there. There's also this one when you have specialized curves. It is also to help press special things. Okay? The other thing you should know, the brush. This is our friend, and that is because if you have come up, or you have ironed something that is shedding a whole lot, then we want to make sure that we have cleaned up our space for the next person coming, because that is rude, right? So then we'll take the brush and just sweep. This one hasn't been swept by me because I was the only one in here, but you can sweep off the ironing table so that it's prepped for the next person. Okay. The other thing you can sometimes do is it gets very staticky here. That's starch. So sometimes you can use a no static guard. Static guard. That's the word. Static guard. See, and sometimes inside these drawers you have a point turner right here. This is another point turner to make beautiful points of our collars. Okay. Other thing in here is what we call easy off. Please, if you get something stuck on the iron, like for instance, we'll be dealing with iron-on interfacings. Iron-on interfacing, one side is usually a glue, and if you don't do it properly, you're going to end up putting glue on the iron or even on the table. And you need to clean that, and so you need to get a costumer, and we will show you how to do that properly, or we will do it ourselves to make sure it's done right. So please be mindful. You should have a clean space when you leave. Do not put this on this table. It goes on its plate, all right? This is its home. This is where it's happy. The other two things then, is these have like a lot of little needles. Lots of little needles, right? That's why it's got all this crazy stuff going on. Right? Needle board. This is called a needle board. That is for velvet, because it's needles. And then this one is also a velvet board. It's of the softer kind. I usually use that for velveteens instead. Okay, because it has a little bit of a pile. And then sometimes, if you look in here, you might see a piece of basic cloth. Sometimes it's just a bit of muslin. Sometimes it's a like sheer stiff piece. That is called a pressing cloth. And we want to, if it's been put in the drawer, please leave it, because that is for, to make sure things don't end up, the iron doesn't make things shine, because sometimes it's so hot. And also to ensure that we don't accidentally burn through something, because sometimes things are delicate. So, but I think that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Also, there is usually a spray bottle. There's not one here, but it's usually full of water, sometimes water and vinegar, because water and vinegar help to get out really bad creases. So remember all this, because you're going to probably use it. You will use this iron at some point. At home, you have your domestics, and I'm sure you know how to use those well. It's very similar. So, all right. I will talk to you soon. Bye.